Hello there, welcome to the news on Nepal television. I am Rojina Rai, starting with the headlines first. Tatobani checkpoint resumes from today after long highest public moment to be allowed through the border. Government hikes the prices of petrol, diesel, kerosene and cooking gas, whooping sales of 235 rupees in a cylinder of LP gas. China says the United States is in fact the world's biggest nuclear threat, as the US is just trying to find an excuse for its own nuclear build-up. And Nepal playing against Bahrain in its second match of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup Asia qualifiers. Welcome back. Now we have the news in detail. The Tatopani checkpoint where Nepal shares border with its northern neighbor China is opening for public movement from today. The Tatopani checkpoint, wherein human mobility had been halted for long, will come into operation. A meeting between the Chinese and Nepali officials held at Lhasa on Tuesday decided to permit movement of the general public through the border point, informed the Chief District Officer Ramesh Neupani. The movement of goods carrying vehicles that has remained closed since the 2015 earthquake had resumed 3 months back in the bordering checkpoint. According to him, locals from Sindhupalchok district will receive a pass having a year permit for mobility through the border point. The government has increased the prices of petrol, diesel, kerosene and cooking gas in Nepal. The Nepal Oil Corporation NOC announced on Thursday that the new prices will come into effect starting Friday morning. As per the latest adjustment by NOC, the cost of petrol will see an increase of ₹4 per litre, while both diesel and kerosene oil will see an upstick per ₹3 per litre. Similarly, the price of cooking gas will also experience a surge of ₹235 per cylinder. Following the revision, a litre of petrol will now be priced at ₹182 in Kathmandu. Correspondingly, the rates for diesel and kerosene will be set at ₹170 per litre. Now to the further development, the Supreme Court is slated to deliberate on a petition lodged by the former Chief Minister of Kosi Province, Hikmat Karki, against the appointment of Uddhav Thapa as the Chief Minister. Karki had earlier filed a writ petition with the Supreme Court, asserting that the vote of confidence in favor of Thapa's appointment as the Chief Minister of Kosi Province was unconstitutional. The Supreme Court had on August 24 issued an interim order to the Kosi provincial government instructing it not to make policy decisions with long-term importance and extensive consequences. Karki has named Kosi Province Chief Persuram Khapung and Chief Minister Thapa as the defendants in the case. In the petition, Karki contended that it was unconstitutional to include the vote of the Assembly Chair when determining the confidence motion in the Kosi Province Assembly on August 21st. We still have more updates on the side. Stay with us. Time for a short break. Welcome back. You are on Nepal Television News. Now we have remaining updates. The Socialist Front, the Alliance for Leftist Parties, is holding a massive assembly in Pokhara today. Top leaders in the front, including Prime Minister and Maha Center Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal, are scheduled to address the program to be held at Pokhara Sabhagriha. Maha Center's Secretary and Gandaki Province in charge, Devendra Paudel, informed that PM Dahal, Unified Socialist Chairman, and former Prime Minister Madhav Kumar Nepal, Chairman of Janata Samaj of the party, Upendra Yadav, General Secretary of Nepal Communist Party, Netra Bikramchand, and others who would address the program. The people would be informed about the objective of the formation of the front, Paudel said, adding that the Maoist Center was tasked to manage the program. Leaders of the Morcha have been addressing massive assemblies in all 7 provinces to make people aware of their programs and the current political developments. Now to the further development, the traditional festival of Gai Jatra, or the cow festival, observed in 3 cities of the Kathmandu Valley and some other places in the country amid various entertainment programs, fun, humor and satire commenced will be continued today as well. During this time-honored tradition, people of all ages in the guise of cows and lunatics go around the city wearing odd costumes to commemorate those who died during the past 1 year. The bereaved families offer fruits, bread, beaten rice, curd and money to those participating in the procession, including the cows. As the saying goes, the festival derives its name from the religious belief that the deceased during their journey to heaven crosses a legendary river by grabbing the tail of a cow. This festival is believed to have started during the time of King Pratap Malla, who is in a bid to console his queen, much grieved at the death of her son in a smallpox epidemic, ordered his people to organize humor and satire programs in various comic postures. Actors and comics take to various platforms to send out satires over social and political malpractices. Earlier limited to theaters and dramas, the platform has shifted to digital means. The majority of the artists are now seen taking to digital and social media platforms with their comic creations. Now we have updates from international front lines. The United States, which has been hyping the China nuclear threat to find an excuse for its nuclear buildup, is in fact the world's biggest nuclear threat, said a Chinese Defense Ministry spokesman Wu Qian at a press conference in Beijing on Thursday. In response to Commander of United States Strategic Command Anthony Cotton's latest remarks, who said the U.S. is just trying to find an excuse for its nuclear buildup, who said China pursues a nuclear strategy of self-defense, commits itself a nuclear policy of no first use of nuclear weapons, does not engage in any nuclear arms race, and keeps its nuclear capabilities at the minimum level required for national security. China also has placed unequivocally not to use or threaten to use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states or nuclear weapon-free zones. We still have more updates on the side. Stay with us. Time for a short break again. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now we have remaining international headliners. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his country has developed weapons that can hit a target 700 kilometers away, in an apparent reference to an aerial attack this week on an airport in western Russia that destroyed several military aircraft. The weapon was produced by Ukraine's Ministries of Strategic Industries, but he gave no further details. Zelensky's claims of new Ukrainian long-range weaponry came ahead of Russian official reporting early on Friday morning that air defense units had neutralized an unidentified objects in Russia's western region of Pskov, the same region where a Ukrainian aerial attack reportedly damaged 4 second 76 military transport planes on Wednesday. Now to the further development, more than 170 global figures have called on Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to stop the prosecution of Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. Professor Yunus Rada, Professor Yunus, known internationally as the banker to the poor, has been slapped with swaths of lawsuits, with several more filed in recent weeks. The Open later said these represented an assault on democracy. Hasina responded harshly, accusing the 83-year-old of begging for an international statement, while much of the Western world lauds Professor Yunus for his pioneering use of microloans. Hasina regards the 83-year-old as a public enemy. Now updates from Singapore. Singaporeans have headed to the polls to vote in their first contested presidential election in over a decade. The president has a mainly ceremonial role in the city-state with few powers and little say in public affairs. However, the result on Friday could be a marker of public sentiment on the long-term ruling party following a stirring of MP scandals. Leading candidate Farman was a veteran minister of Singapore's ruling party. This year, the party's reputation has been damaged by a string of rare political scandals, including a senior minister's arrest in a corruption probe, as well as two lawmakers' resignation over an extramarital affair. To the more updates, before that, let's have a quick look into the highlights of the site. SpaceX launched the latest batch of satellites as part of the Starlink Group's 613 missions atop a reusable Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral in Florida. The first stage of the rocket then landed on a shortfall of Gravitas remote drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean after launch. Starlink is SpaceX's constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit designed to provide internet access in remote and congested parts of the world directly via satellite. Now we are moving on to sports. Nepal is playing against Bahrain in its second match under the ICC Women's T20 World Cup Asia qualifier in Malaysia. After defeating the home team Malaysia in their own field, Nepal is entering the field today with the goal of getting the second victory in a row. The Nepal side has been invited to bowl first after Bahrain won the toss. Bahrain so far has scored 31 runs in the loss of 8 wickets in 13 overs. Nepal is pitted in Group A alongside Bahrain, Bhutan, Malaysia, Qatar and UAE. Group B has other 5 teams. The top 2 teams from each group will be qualified for the semi-final round, and the top 2 teams making way to the final will be eligible to compete in the global T20 qualifier schedule to take place in 2024. Now, US Open 2023, Spanish top seed Carlos Alcaraz continued the defense of his US Open men's title with a straight set win over South Africa's Lloyd Harris. Alcaraz 20 was made to work hard in the third set before sealing a 6-3, 6-1, 7-6 victory in New York. Alcaraz will face Britain's Dan Evans in the third round on Saturday. Meanwhile, John Isner brought the curtain down on his professional career as the American veteran lost a 5-set thriller to compatriot Michael Smo. In other men's, former world #1 Andy Murray 36 lost 6-3, 6-4, 6-1 against 19th seed Grigor Dimitrov in New York. Murray, ranked 37th, has not reached the last 16-over major since resuming his career after hip surgery in 2019. With this, we come to the end of this news bulletin, but before we say goodbye, quick reminders of the headlines once again. Tatopani checkpoint resumes from today after a long hiatus, public movement to be allowed through the border. Government hikes the prices of petrol, diesel, kerosene and cooking gas, hoping sales of 235 rupees in a cylinder of LP gas. China says the United States is in fact the world's biggest nuclear threat, as the US is just trying to find an excuse for its own nuclear build-up. And Nepal bowling against Bahrain in its second match of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup Asia qualifiers. Well, this is all we have for this moment. Until our next bulletin, have a good day ahead. Namaste.